webinar from the AppNox. It's about metering technology. My name is Benjamin Iseli. I am the head of sales and marketing, and I have the pleasure to film this webinar. Automatica, as you know, was sadly cancelled due to the coronavirus, but nevertheless, we try to give you our news through this webinar. My colleagues are with me. I will switch. Hold on. There we go. We have Yves Graf and also Matthias, my brother, who is leading this webinar. Hi, Eric. Matthias, our CEO and PM Metering Technology, is leading this webinar with the help of Yves. Yves is PM Grease Supply, which we had the honor to see the webinar yesterday. I would like to set some basic ground rules. Please write questions. If you write them on in the chat, our apprentice Aurora will either see them or myself, and we will try to answer them during the webinar. Also, we would be glad if you could turn off your microphone so we don't get too much noise. So now I have talked enough. For the next ± 1 hour, my brother Matthias will lead this webinar.
Thank you very much, Ben, and also a warm welcome from my side. I will explain you some details about our metering technology products, metering valves, the different variety of our product portfolio. I would like to start with our standard volumetric valve, the C series. We have here our box with all the different types of metering valves, and the standard or the most sold product is the C2 or the C3 valves. We have 4 different sizes of these valves, as you know. Let me see here a little help. If you can, yeah, so the smallest dot is 1 cubic millimeter, which goes up to 6 cubic centimeter. That's the biggest amount with the C4 valve. The big advantage of this volumetric valve is that all valves are made for pressures up to 200 bar. So you don't need a pressure regulator. It's also written every time on the assembly block here. The valves or the volume can be adjusted through this screw here. We have a little scale to help to adjust the volume in this range here. From, as an example, the C3 valve goes from 0.1 to 2 cubic centimeters. Here on the top of the valve, you can fix the amount you set with the screw here by a screw, and so it's not possible anymore to adjust the volume. Every valve is controlled by a pneumatic 5-2 valve. You control the piston inside the valve. And to show you the function of the valve, I will switch to my computer. I will share my screen with an animation. Let's do that. You should now see the animation of our volumetric metering valves. And yellow is the grease. We have blue, the blue part here is the pneumatic part. We have again the screw here where we can adjust the volume of this chamber here. We have the grease piston with integrated magnetic ring, and with this ring and the sensor you can detect both positions. With one sensor the end position, and with the other sensor the other end position. And the function is quite easy. You close and open these sections here, it's now closed, and if it's open here, with the grease pressure, you press the grease out of the metering valve. So that's very important to know that the speed or the flow of the metering valve is depending on the grease pressure you have on the inlet, and it has nothing to do with the pneumatic pressure you are using at this side. Normally you are using a pneumatic pressure of 6 bar to control the valve properly. And as just to show you, so here you can fix it. You see now that the volume on the metering valve is much slower. You still have a movement of the piston. We need this little movement to detect the position with the sensors. And also what you see very clear with this animation is if the stroke is bigger, like this, you have a bigger backflow in our metering valves. So sometimes it's a big advantage to have a backflow, especially if you are working with grease. You can also adjust the backflow with adjusting the volume. So you have a big backflow if you have a high volume, and you have a smaller, you can see it with the next one. So a shorter volume and a shorter backflow. So this animation, also available on our homepage, shows very clearly the simple way to meter grease or oil with our C metering valves. The name C comes, may we switch back to the camera? I will stop.
Sorry, we got one question from Rolf. Why the bigger backflow?
You know, the bigger backflow is, I go back to my animation, just a second. So, you see the backflow is depending on the movement of this piston here. So if I have a short movement, I have a short backflow, and if I have, as an example, with the next cycle, now I have a much bigger movement, and you get a much bigger backflow suck back in your metering valves.
Is this question answered?
Yeah, hopefully. Okay, we will flip back to our metering valves. The name C valve is made with no problem. She's cleaning the door handle because of Corona.
Sorry, there's just another question.
Yeah.
Is it just for changing the output volume?
What is changing the output volume? You know, the volume is depending on the way of the grease piston.
But basically, if it's correct set, you don't suck the grease back that you put in onto the part, but you suck some air in, basically. But the rest that is in the needle or in the valve is just sucked back.
We will have the opportunity to see it in live, and we can show you a little bit more about the backflow on the valve on the stage. So the name, because of the C slot, may you have a chance, Ben, if you go a little bit closer, you see, is it slot the right name? And with these slots, you can fix the valve. And the biggest advantage, of course, is to add also the sensors to the right position. We have one sensor here and one sensor here. We always recommend to choose 2 sensors to detect both end positions. Small also, when you can show, you can also see here a little hole inside our metering valve. So if here grease comes out, then you know we have a problem with the sealings, then it's leaking, and that's kind of a detection that you should change the sealings on your metering valve. The metering valve, you can connect our standard nozzle to the bigger metering valve. For the smaller metering valves, we have kind of and you can add also an adapter like this, and then you have the possibility also to take other nozzles to the smaller metering valves.
Is that the standard part?
You can get that also as standard on our homepage. There are the new numbers with these connections already assembled. So that's our nozzles. So we have 4 different sizes. We have 2 different sizes of the profile, and then we have the possibility to add, or of course you can already order that the assembled way, hand grips. So for the 2 smaller valves, we have the hand grip, which we are calling pen. So you can, I will show you with a nozzle how it looks like. You can hang it up. You have to connect the air. You have to connect the grease here, and you have the pneumatic valve already integrated in the handle, and then you can set single pumps by pressing down that handle here. Trigger. Thank you, Ben. Okay. It's always good to have my brother here. So Yves will show you another possibility for the bigger valves. In the meantime, I will...
Yes, this is a C3 valve with a hand grip, just a different hand grip due to the size of the metering valve. Also with the possibility to connect the grease here or even here, depends on the application. Maybe you want to show you the difference.
Yes, so soon we will have a new hand grip. We modified our hand grip. So new, it's not only the color switched, we have also other connection here. It's for the spray head. So if you integrate a spray head to the metering valve, you can choose also here, or you can connect the spray air directly to the handle. So that's very good. So the new valves have a black handle. Okay.
Matthias, I have one more question.
Yeah.
This case, that looks quite solid.
Yeah.
Why is it so solid?
It's Swiss Army proved. We are using that for our fairs, and also you can borrow. Is it the right word? Yes, you can borrow these cases also if you have demonstration at customer side, or if you make an inside fair or something similar to that. I think we have 3 kinds of such boxes for the metering valves, and also for pumps and other.
For more information, you can just write us an email.
Yes. So the last possibility, hand grip, are this kind of valve here. It's called the SV version with the hand grip, vertical hand grip. You can hang it up on a balancer, but you see the valve is exactly the same as the one with the standard mounting bracket. A further advantage of all these valves are our seal kits. So for every valve, we have the right seal kit for you. So you see all the O-rings, the sealings, sometimes even you get the parts inside the valve, which are very difficult to replace. You get new ones with the right article numbers, and you get also the right drawing with that set. The drawings are always available also on our homepage. If you go to the metering valves, on the end of the documentation, you find measurement drawings, spare part drawings, even 3D data for your customers to integrate the valves already in machines. So you see all the article numbers with the O-rings or with the sealings inside, and last but not least, much more important is the instruction manual. With this instruction manual, it's one for the smaller valves, you are able to change the sealings by yourself. So for every step we made a picture. We also integrated the right tools. Of course, I think on the visit here we have a list with all the tools you need for replacement of the sealings. And if you don't have these tools, we can also help you out with that. And if you have to make a lot of sealing changes, we have also a selection box with all these sealings in one box, and not only one set for one valve. So big advantage, you or your customer can easily change the sealing of all metering valves. I will have a short look if I have something forget.
Just a side note,
Yep.
The seal kit is so easy to change that my wife, a nurse practitioner, did it and it worked perfectly. Just FYI.
Yeah, she needed about 30 minutes, and that's good. Perfect. You can have our standard valves also as a kit with 5 pieces on it. So if you have big assembly lines where you have to install a few metering valves, you can order also the 5 sets of metering valves, not only the one packed in one carton.
Saves shipping cost.
Yes, yes, that's correct. And last but not least, we are also able to change the engraving, the logo on the metering valve. We are doing that for sometimes for you guys with your logo on it and not only ADNOC. For some customers, we have also changed the color to give own a look of the valves. Yes, that's, I think, all about our standard volumetric metering valves from the C-type. Yves will now show you a very short demonstration how easy it is to meter or to dose some single points. Very, very clear, huh? Always the same amount, so it's not depending on pressure, not depending on viscosity, always the same amount. And with this valve, we have also integrated here the sensors with the small yellow LED. You see the movement also of the grease piston, end position on the top and end position on the bottom. And with every movement, you know with this sensor that the grease piston made the whole stroke on the valve. As an example, here, a smaller valve, it's a C1 valve. So you control it pneumatically very easily, up to 200 bar. So that's, I like this valves. Huh? Yeah. And if you see here the Lurlock, the green one, you see the backflow in the nozzle. So if you may make some more dots, now you see, tuck. Now you see clearly how it sucked back the volume. But you see that the volume is always the same. So small amounts of grease. If you have to adjust the volume, you just can turn here. Don't forget, if you adjust the volume here, I will do it. If you may, you see the amount is bigger, you have then also to adjust. It's still the same sensor. You have then also to adjust the sensor. Thank you very much. Now, if you have to fill gearboxes or you have to fill cartridge with grease, we have, of course, also bigger metering valves. As an example, here it's one of our, it's not the biggest, but one of our biggest. It's from 10 cubic centimeter to 133. We have also the pneumatic part. You can also adjust the volume here very easily. And you have this one with sensor. So it's for filling application. The biggest valve goes up to 500 cubic centimeters. And if you need more, then you can do that with a flow monitor, with a flow sensor, and open and close. All these valves are also available as outlet valves. So the outlet valves are time controlled. As long as the valve is open, grease will flow. And you can have that also in this size here, the bigger profile, or the smaller, it's called A1 and A3. So we have the two sizes of outlet valves. This valve is used when you have to meter lines with grease, as an example, or if you have a spray application. And all the outlet valves are also available with the hand grip, of course. Now, Ben would see the spray valve now. We will switch to the spray application. We have added on our volumetric valve a spray head. It's a round spray valve. You need pneumatic air for the spray. The valve dose the amount of grease, and with the air you spray, as an example here, round points on parts which has to be lubricated. We have a different variety of different spray nozzles. We have ring spray nozzle, flat spray nozzle, the circle ones. We have different lengths. If you need support for a different nozzle, just let us know and we will choose the right nozzle for you for the spray application. Don't forget to control also the spray air. So you may need a pressure regulator to set the right amount of pressure of the spray air. And also we recommend to start with the spray air and then make the movement of the piston of the metering valve and then stop the spray air. That was the application volumetric metering valve with the spray. SPK, it's that called. Now, often what we are doing for our customer are smaller or bigger systems. As an example, we have here for you three different types. All are very similar. You can see always here the metering valve. We have then the pneumatic 5-2 valve with the small valve here to start the metering process. Also here with the bigger valve. And then we made special nozzles. Often we made special nozzle for our customers. These are parts which we are using by self. And by pressing that down, this part will be lubricated with the right amount in a very short time and with no grease on your fingers.
I think we will see that later in our assembly shop live. Then you can see how easy and clean it is.
Yeah. And we made a how can I say that in English, a standardization, kind of that. And this is the grease unit we made for you, which always comes without the nozzle here. So that's kind of the delivery scope, like this. And then if you or your customer is coming with a part like this, which has to be lubricated, we have only to concentrate on the grease nozzle. This grease nozzle is kind of hybrid. It's a part we made in our tool shop, and then here on the top, this one is printed. It's a 3D metal print, and this part here again is made by self on our tool shop. So we combined the two different applications in one nozzle. We can add that to our standard grease station, like this. So. And then also here with this cap from a valve, pressing down, this will be lubricated on the right way with the right volume in the right time. So this is a standard which we have on stock, and if you order such a system, we have short delivery time because we have only to concentrate on this part here.
Yeah, we just have an example here. We just received today a nozzle for a customer who wanted to have this part greased inside. So already a little bit more complex structure. So we designed the nozzle, which is completely 3D printed. Yeah. Now we have, with the 3D printing opportunity, we can already make kind of complex structures. And then same here, this kind belongs here, and then the customer can come and press it down.
Very easily. So as an example, we show you that in live.
Just mount it, and it's already set to grease. So
cool. And last but not least, also an example of a part who has to be lubricated. They did it before by hand, by brush, lubricated the three parts here, and here we have three valves integrated in this lubrication unit, and then also here exactly the same procedure. Pressing down, it starts the three metering valves with the volume which are set here, and then through this hose you get the right amount of lubrication on your parts. As an example, of course you can also integrate the metering valves in a fully automated assembly line, maybe with a robot. Everything is possible.
Maybe one thing I would like to add, those systems are kind of delivered plug and play. So usually if we receive the grease from the customer, the parts which are to be greased, we kind of commissioning the system with the original grease, test it, get an approval from you as customer, and then kind of is this plug and play ready for to start the operation immediately at your plant.
Yes, and to engineer such nozzles, we like to have 3D data and original parts so that we can test it easily. So now the question is, if you need different volumes of grease, how can we handle that? And for that we have newer valve in our product portfolio, which is the Vario valve. So the principle, the function is completely different to the other volumetric valve. What we have here is kind of a warm gear, warm pump. So you have here a special warm gear which we made for higher inlet pressures. Normally this type of valves works with lower pressures than our valves is doing. So we are able to get an inlet pressure up to 35 bar, which helps especially high viscous grease pumping through this unit. So the volume is defined by how many turns you are making with the rotor on this side. So it's actually like this. We have a motor here, we have a small motion control here, a coupling, and then rotor stator. And what we also integrated at this demo stage is a very small grease tank, which is directly assembled to the Vario valve. Of course, you can also use pressure tanks for oil or bigger pumps up to, depending what you need at your application. So this example, in this example, we integrated our pressure regulator to be sure that we are working with the right grease pressure. It's set now here to 15 bar. And then we are able, or we know that we are working with the right grease pressures. Of course, we have also the material pressure already assembled with two gauges, so you can see the inlet pressure and the outlet pressure. This type of pressure regulator goes from 5 bar up to 50 bar outlet pressure. So Yves will now demonstrate the Vario valve with different volumes already programmed in the small motion control. Ready, steady, go. So very small point, it's getting bigger, and now smaller and smaller. So maybe once more, Yves, to see how cool that is. So we are able to set a few volumes. You can also set the speed of the rotor, so it depending what you need. This Vario valve is controlled through a RS 232 Schnittstelle connection, or you can also use digital or analog inputs where you can control the Vario valve with your controller, depending what you need. Other combination with the Vario valve is the one with the rotary unit. Yves will show you this application. You see, by turning this axle very fast, we are able, with the right amount of grease, to set the grease inside of cylinders, and it's fantastic. It's getting, is it short? Yeah. To see, we need one more, Eve. That's always fascinated. I'm to see how clear you can grease cylinder inside. And with the Vario valve, if you need to make bigger surfaces, as Eve showed you before, with a movement, you can also make that bigger. So you can adjust the volume with the Vario valve in combination with this rotary unit. Other way to apply grease is with the jet valve. With this valve, we are able to shoot grease points over a certain distance. As an example, it's about 8 shots, very short, so you are very fast. You can do that and also program it as you want. You see on the valve, if you go a little bit higher, then, so it's a pneumatic valve, electrically controlled. To have as short distance to the air side of the valve as possible. This valve is also available with different nozzles with different inside diameters. So let me check if I forgot something. We had talk about the outlet valves, the spray valves, the volumetric one, the dosing station we have here, the Vario valve, rotary feed like here. So I think we will show you now some application in our assembly lines to see how easy and how practical it is working with our product. So we go, I will go through. Nina. So this is our warehouse. We have already finished our shift today. As you know, we have a lot of single parts on our stock. If you order products, we assemble it for you in a short time and then deliver all over the world. Yeah. We make maybe here. Thank you for the lights. This is our assembly line where all our metering valves are assembled and tested. So every valve is tested by the valve. We can show you. Do we have, yeah, I think. So as an example, we have different sizes of grease station here, and we have here to lubricate the part, the pneumatic part of our metering valves. We made also this grease station similar to the one we showed you before, and then the worker pressing down the part, and you see now it's greased with the right amount of grease, and to compare it with the one without grease. So, and if I grease the second one, you see the amount very clear, very good. To show you how we clean it, how it works without the part on it. The grease comes out, and then lubricate the parts. And of course, we have that also for the smaller valve, always with the right size of metering. Then we'll show you the third application. Yes, perfect. There will be assembled already. So if this assembly line, we get all the orders through our ERP system directly to the assembly line, then the worker knows which valve has to be assembled. As an example, I told you that before, we are also able to have other colors depending what you need. We can do a lot, also gray. Every part is in the assembly line with the right tools, with the right settings. And then here in the assembly line, we are marking all the valves with the laser engraving. We are testing all the valves on the test bench. And then after testing with oil, it's tested with oil, we blow out the oil and then we close the pump and pack it with the manual, and then it will be shipped. So if we get an order, 6 minutes later, we are able to deliver our metering valves. Other application.
How many valves do you make in this line per year?
Oh, it's a good question. I think it's yeah. Hey, it's a little help here. Yeah, 3,532 valves, and you see we have in this line we have 100 different varieties of this valve. Maybe also another topic is to see the grease supply with the drum pump here. You see the 25 kilogram bucket, conical one. With this pump, we feed all the grease station on this assembly line. And also, of course, we have smaller assembly lines. One example is here, and you may see, if we go a little bit closer, you see here, these are hand valves, the pens, and on the back, you see, we see with special nozzle, it's for the grease heads, for the lubrication technology, and on the back we have the pump which feeds the 3 hand pens. And we have also a third. Is it running, Nina? No. We see as the last example our assembly line for the oil level windows. We are using also in this machine a special metering valve to oil the house of the oil level window. You see here a low pressure metering valve C1, and this is used to oil the housing, that we have no problem by pressing it down together with the glass. So that's also a typical application. And on the back, you may see a little bit the pressure tank in the bottom, which feeds the low pressure metering. So, thank you very much. Then, of course, we are also working on new metering valves. I can show you a needle metering valve and a new jet valve. For that, we have our labor,
Test center.
test center. May you know Christian Waser. Christian Waser is our application engineer. If we have also to make very complicated offers, we may need some pre-tests, and together with Christian and this room here, we are able to make tests and applications to see if our ideas work or work not. And as an example, Christians will show you our control box. It's a control box to control every metering valve. So you can control the vario valve, you can control the spray valve, you can control the pulse or jet valve. You can also add heatings, additional switches. And Christian will show us, just as an example, how he controls our new needle valve, which you can see here. Ben, if you can switch back to the valve. So it's our prototype. It's also pneumatically controlled. It has a air release screw with a tube, so you have to release the air in the beginning. And the big advantage of this valve is that is special made for oil application together with pressure tanks. You don't have the backflow which you have with our standard volumetric valve. So, Christian,
yes.
Yeah, may you show us a sequence?
Of course. What you see here is the new control diagnostic system that Hacmix has. Here you connect the box with the PC, and then you have a special view from display from the diagnostic box, and then you have the chance to change the valve type. So now we use the volumetric dosing valve for the system. Then we set up the opening time and the close time for the pneumatic chain piston. This is approximately 0.5 seconds.
Make it a little bit shorter.
Make it a little bit short. Okay.
One cycle.
One cycle to 200.
Yeah. So
200. And then what we would do is we will do 5 shots. We had set up now the system. Now we can start the impulse. So the valve will be start with the pulse. I can repeat the same. Also, second repeat there. And then what we can do is I will also show you the normal valve that we can. There we use the electropneumatic valve here, and you can also control this with this box. I will change now the valve type to a pulse valve. Then I correct time to 500 milliseconds, open and close time. We do 10 shots, and then we start it.
Oh, such a good time.
10 times.
10 is too many. There is too many for E.
Okay.
Let me do it.
Now you see what new is on this valve is we integrated the pneumatic valve directly on top of the valve, and it's controlled electrically. So you have also, similar to the pulse valve, you have the valve already integrated in the metering valve. So here it's controlled. Yeah. No. Yes.
And for the controlling, we use always the control box, the diagnostic box. You have the possibility. You must bring for the control box pneumatic air with approximately 6 bar, and also voltage between 100 and 240 voltage, 50 to 60 part. So you can use it in the US also over the world. Yeah.
Okay.
It's easy to use.
And last but not least, other modification we are working is for our pulse valve or jet valve. We try to have other pneumatic control valves to shorten the cycle time of the pulse valve, because with a shorter cycle time you can apply a smaller dose. That would be the advantage of this modification. So Christian is working on a lot of modification and on new meter valves with the needle valve. We think we are able to start selling these products beginning of autumn, September this year. Okay, thank you very much, Christian. Thank you. Then we will go back and are open for questions. So, do you have any kind of questions regarding the dosing or metering valves?
We got it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Eric.
Was nice to meet you.
It's any more questions? There's always the chance to send us an email, as for those who joined us yesterday already know that. So on that end, if no more questions, anything from you guys?
Thank you very much for attending this webinar. It was a pleasure to not see you, but at least to know that we are still in contact. So, see you.
Thank you very much. Also from my side, thank you for your time and see you soon.